Continuing on with language, I thought I'd show you something interesting I found years ago. Totally joking Satanist. But today's video will be, what is Satan? Is Satan a bad guy? What does the Bible have to say on this? But first, that clip I found many years ago, Satanic Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, time for my daily Satan worshipping. Satan, 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 Satan. Lord Satan, thank you. Thank you for death and despair and plagues and all that bad stuff that happens to people. Satan, 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 Satan. What the fuck?
That's fuck. Emperor Satan release me.
Satan is my body. Now I feel much better. La 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 la. La 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 la. What do we have in here? Oh, what's this? Oh, the bowl of dead mice. Oh, this will be very nice. Oh, Satan, I offer this bowl of dead mice to you. Oh, be right. What else do we have? Yum! A hearty bowl of yak's blood. Yak's blood, holy yak's blood. What the fuck? The yak's blood's empty. Oh shit! Out where I go! Oh no! Satan, come for my soul! Oh.
Alright now, in ancient times, language was much more simple, and even more so, especially since you'd be killed for talking about a lot of things. Sorry about the mess in the background. I'm kind of clean, kind of not. When we did come up with the alphabet, it was much like the pictograph used to express simple stuff. Now I'd like to discuss what is Satan. And in the former video, you saw me speaking about the planet Saturn and making the reference to the Greek Satyr Square, to the Sanskrit word for truth, Satya, to the Hebrew word Satan, which means opposition or challenge, and I didn't touch on, but Satanama, which, why would there be so many renditions to express the same kind of stuff, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. So no matter where the story comes from, most of the creation stories pretty much start the same. There's some kind of creator, some whole, that creates different classical beings, angels, right, for a simple word, which I call angles, like angles of light, archangels, arcing lights, archangels, okay? Now, supposedly he created, and the number is debatable depending where you read it from, but it mostly comes down to 12 or 24 main angels. Notice the connecting glue at the end of all of these words, okay? L, right? Okay, so often an expression of God, or the holos of the universe, a modality of his thinking or expression, or how it might carry itself out, is expressed as these sorts of names that you may call upon them directly and activate, in theory, that part of the universe, that expression of God. Like Allah being allegedly the Hebrew word for curse. And one day I might go into how these are other words backwards and certain expressions there, but for now we got to keep it as simple as we can. There's the Son of God. And in its Ra, right? In its fire, in its Ray, right? Mun means moon in Egypt. Ra means ray. Ra by itself might refer to the sun, but often, therefore, is misunderstood by new people, because a lot of times it was amen, a man ra, a moon ray, right? So they were actually often talking about the cycle of the moon, and a lot about medicine and stuff, which we'll cover vaguely here. So from that original creation, created different portions outward. You got Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Donatello, Leonardo. Just kidding. Those are the Ninja Turtles, but you will notice the pagan references and colors in that, trying to hint people in. But you have 12 or 24 zodiac signs, each corresponding easily to a zodiac sign. I meant to say 12 or 24 angels. Okay? So as you can see here, Ariel, Aries, Shamuel, Taurus, also called Shamum, Zadkiel, Gemini, Gabriel, Cancer, Raziel, notice the Ra, Leo, fire spirit, right? The tribe of Leo, right? Metatron, okay, he's the messenger of God. Virgo is nicknamed Mother Earth in the zodiac. Okay, you have Jophiel, that's a Libra. Jeremiah, notice the names that also change over the time. There's a Jeremiah, and then later there's a Jeremiah, and all these names have different roots, even transforming in the Bible. Scorpio. Raguel. You can't even read what I wrote there. But he's Sagittarius. Azrael, that's Azazel to the Satanists. And he's a Capricorn, which is what? The goat. Very interesting. And what did they sacrifice to him in the Bible? Right outside of forests and stuff to keep the demon from plaguing their town? Goats. Uriel, goats and pigs. Uriel, Aquarius, Sandalphon, which is like the archangel for divination and music and expression creatively, is Pisces. Here's the four main angels, okay? Uriel to the north or to the earth, Raphael to the east or to the air, Michael to the south or to the fire, and Gabriel to the west or to the water. I wanted to discuss some more of these symbols, but I think I will do it in another video. Okay, so you have all these rays of God, right? Now here's how the story goes. God created all these angels, right? He said, serve only me. Don't ever serve anything else, as if there should be something else, right? But anyway, don't ever serve anything else. Don't ever bow to anything else. I am the freaking king. I made you for this purpose, to serve me, okay? Then along over time, he created a new thing, and he called it man, right? Mankind. And now he says, bow to my new creation. All of the angels did except for one. The one that didn't was Samael, Samuel, the one you know as the devil in modern times, right? Well, let's take a look at some of this. Now, first, you said, bow to no one other but me. So he actually is considered by many to be the most loyal angel. Let's take a little bit look at this. Sama, right? Sa means knowledge or to create. That is the element of fire, okay? Did I even put Ma up here? There it is. Ma, mother. Moon, water, womb. Get an idea about that, okay? So to gestate, to bring forth knowledge. Samael, to connect and bring forth wisdom, right? Or Lucifer, light, deliverer, right? Bearer of light, to shed light upon. Okay? So this guy actually turns out to be the most loyal of angels. Before I dive in too deep to that, let's look at some of these words, okay? Amen, Aman, Amun, Ra, Amun, Ray, Moon, Ra, Ray. Okay, Sa is knowledge, Ta is air, Na is earth. Each of these can also be applied to the elements very easily. Ya, soul, or ether. And notice the Pa is the same thing in Star Trek. Okay, some religions, this Lucifer character that didn't bow down to the new creation is known as Melech Taus. And in other religions, God and the devil, or Jesus and Satan, are considered the same thing. Satan being considered God's shadow that he casts from himself, but inextricably linked and connected. The duality and everything, you'll notice a lot in the occult goes to male and female, moon and sun, day and night, etc., and so on. Okay, so you have this, let's look at what Satan means according to the Hebrews, okay? So there's actually two Satans spoke of in the Bible. Most people don't discern as much because they read the trimmed down English version without all the extra, information that's in the language itself and how the language has been structured and evolved. So you have Satan, right? And he's supposedly opposition. In fact, there is no Satan. There isn't. Not in the traditional sense that we hold it today. Satan means simply to oppose. It is the spirit itself, or the angle, the position of, right? Zodiac position, degrees, you hear those kind of terms used. It should hint at you a lot more. The position of opposition. So much, in fact, that there's a point where Jesus' own disciples are arguing with him. And he says, "Get behind me, Satan," to his own disciple. Surely his own teammate isn't the devil. But what he was saying without saying too much, and he often spoke so simply, you'll get it when you're ready, rather than create conversations that people can argue that go nowhere. He's basically saying, look, man, you're opposing me right now. Your actions are a bit silly. You know what we're here to do. You know where we're going. Get behind me. Fall in line. Let's focus, okay? Because we're not really against each other. But right now, with how you're acting, you're oppositioning me, okay? Now, the other Satan was an actual character, an employee of God, if you will. Satan, that most loyal angel we talked about. Melektos, Samael, Lucifer. Okay? Now, Satan literally meant the challenger, or to challenge. And he was the one that was sent out to give people those challenges. There's a story. So the stories of Jonah and of Job tell us a lot of interesting stuff. In Job 1:6-12, it says, "One day the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, 'Where have you come from?' Satan answered the Lord, 'From going to and fro on the earth, and walking up and down on it.'" Now, in other passages, Satan is the Lord of the earth. And in other passages, you're all sons and daughters of Satan. In Revelations, Jesus himself says, "I am the bright morning star," which is a reference to Venus, but notice these things continue to intertwine, that they're telling the same tale in different languages to those who will receive them. So anyway, the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job?" And notice it's the word Job in modern English. "There is no one like him on earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil." Then Satan answered the Lord, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a fence around him and his house and all that he has, and on every side you have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will curse you and spit in your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, all that he has is in your power. Only do not stretch out your hand against him." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. So Satan came out, a shadow of the presence of the Lord, a specific job given to by the Lord, an extension by the Lord, permission from the Lord to go tempt this dude and do everything he can to challenge, stall, and struggle the man. So Satan's job, if you will, to test, to challenge, to alchemy, to break things down and rebuild them stronger, to shed light upon. He was given permission to torture. Some of the interesting thing about numbers we learn here is the number 3, that number of balance we mentioned again. Okay, Nineveh apparently takes 3 days to cross. Third chakra, solar plexus. The second chakra is the sacral, and we'll talk about desire and stuff later, impulsivity and sex. Okay, Jonah spent 3 days in the belly of the whale. 3 days in a tomb before rescuing humanity, as it were. So all ultimately is connected. That's just a fun doodle on my name, making up a face. Okay? Now, when we had hieroglyphics and things, we encoded a lot of knowledge in the pictographs. I think I will go through it at least a little bit. Okay? So, there's remember the circle is the symbol of life. No beginning, no end, right? Female, uterus, right? What happens when you take a male, a phallus, a sword, right? And you stab it into the uterus, right? You get a female. You've now impregnated this woman. The male is inside the woman, growing to fruition. There's the male symbol showing you the same thing. Okay? Remember this classic occulty symbol? You see it everywhere in movies over the chest of like cult masters in movies. This is known often as a Zazel symbol. Right? We talked about Azazel. Azrael, right? The Capricorn, the goat. There he is again. Okay? It's a symbol of balance. Now notice how true that is. It's literally a W, like woman, over an M for man. You connect them at the points and it's literally that symbol right there. To understand a lot of this ancient knowledge, you're going to need to, as my original interest was, learn the original language. keep going back and training yourself in etymology and the roots of words and how we use hieroglyphs in language and stuff. This is the reason why so many monoliths and ancient knowledge were destroyed, to keep us from being able to understand things, keep the power in the hands of the few. For example, as we come up with English before these complete ways that we use it now, okay, quite simply, it's a pictograph language as well. Remember L? Remember me talking about that, how that represented the cosmos and whatnot? Okay, so L means to possess or hold. And in this very terrible diagram, there's nothing like the real thing. You may remember certain hieroglyphs like the Egyptians sitting with their body in a weird L shape, right? On top of a stack of books. This was to show that they held or possessed the wisdom. The wisdom often of the cross, or the X of medicine. This is also why they had those long hooked staffs, because they were mixing volatile chemicals and stuff from like 10 feet away. You had to grab the stuff off the top shelf, and since these chemicals are highly volatile and potentially explosive at times, mix them from a distance. Okay? This is just a couple letters of the English alphabet to show you what they mean. Okay, so A is the seed knowledge, the first impression, the first thing you see or notice, right? G, you'll notice this on Freemasons, right? Inside of that symbol again. Now, okay? To give you an idea, make it easy. Okay? So the G simply means earth, right? Ground. Very easy. And they were believed to be masters of the earth, right? Freemasonry, whether you think of it as like just brickwork or you think of it as the occulty way. O means to open, to connect, right? And we already covered X is medicine. So when you fully understand this, you can take the words apart. Like sat, sut, an, satan. Sat Nam is taught in yoga to mean the truth within you, which means truth praise or truth devotion, really. Nam, teacher, right? Devotion and praise. Okay? And I'll just give one more flash of a pan through this, of some of those root sounds. You're taught about 7 sounds of creation and destruction. We'll cover those in another video. And the 7 heavens. To fully understand these angles of light, dimensions, frequencies, numbers, one would be essentially understanding sacred geometry, cymatics, which is the study of vibration and frequency on matter physically changing or moving it. We'll talk later about the Eye of Osiris, Iris, Ra, whatever you want to call it. Which was more about actual direction of how to read and get this information from their books and little things like that, but as well as advanced mathematics. Were you to take those original symbols and actually measure them, they would give you different components, and you'll find the same kind of things in the measurements of the tombs and the frequencies in them today. 33 hertz, for example, 33 degrees in the Freemasons, right? Okay, 33 vertebrae on the spine. 33 hertz is supersensitivity, Buddha head, Christ consciousness, if you will. It's the frequency in one of the king's tombs in Egypt. 32 hertz is desensitization in a similar way. This is, you can get into studying the EKG, binaural beats, these sorts of things, but there's a real science to it. In fact, there's certain frequencies that you're going to find, even if you find charts where it's listed, that it won't tell you much. It'll just say, like, you can call the FCC, you can call these people, it's not allowed to be on the TV, and the most they'll tell you is it alters human behavior. It's all they're willing to comment, if they will comment. So Satan, Satanama, Satnam, etc., the truth within, right? Sat, Sa, knowledge, creator. Nam, to teach, to devote, or to praise creation or knowledge. And finally, we look at Aman, etc. Again, to show that how Christians end their prayers. Why in a different name? That's pretty weird. Well, Christians and pagans used to attend the same churches. Actually, knowledge wasn't always... I mean, we eventually created wars over differences in understanding or application of it, but, you know, we weren't always as separate as we are. So what do we know about Aman? Now, Amen, also E-A-M-O-N, in the Bible is a name, interestingly enough. Amen, right? Amen was a sun deity, okay? of air and fire elements. Its element was gold, right? And it was said to know the past, present, and future. Sounds like that omnipotence we talk about in the Bible. So at the end of each prayer, you're actually summoning up another angle of application, or angel, or demon, or whatever you prefer to call it, to help bring into understanding time, fruition, what your goal is. And finally, and there's no visual representation for this, sorry, because I didn't think of it until right now, but Yashua. Okay, Yashua, Jesus, as it were, is not a person. And there were lots of people named Jesus. This is true. There's still people named Jesus. But it's not what you'd see. Jesus was a title. Satan, as you've now learned, was a position to be held rather than a person, too. It was a spirit, an idea behind the thing, right? A modality, if you will. Similarly, Yeshua isn't a person. A person could be a Yashua, but a Yashu also stems from Egypt, which we're told that Jesus spent some time in. Yashu means medicine man. There were tons of them. And like a Reiki doctor, and like so many, Jesus was a noble one, going from place to place, doing his healing or whatever, asking for nothing more, just like the people today, than maybe a place to sleep or something to eat so he could continue spreading knowledge. Literally teaching people medicine. One day I might tell you about the Philosopher's Stone, or what living waters truly means, and how the Egyptians, and Jesus, therefore as well, would use their bodies as the vessel, as the mixing temple to create these drugs, chemicals, potions, that might help you experience a little bit of enlightenment. And it might gross you out, but this is how they did science back then. But we'll talk about all kinds of controversy stuff. This is what I'm here for, educating people and helping make things a little bit easier in a world that seeks to rip apart. For example, Jesus turned 13 to 30, the time that he spent in Egypt training with other masters of similar arts. They seek to control information. Your preachers, your rabbis, your teachers, your people in Christian churches today are practicing all of these arts in different languages. They do understand it. There's a reason why you don't get the Hebrew Bible. There was a reason why you're not taught the Hebrew language, because you'd be able to read it the same way that they could, and they would have no power over you. In fact, the book actually says if people ask if there's anything in this book against us, you're to lie to them. Okay? There were two religions in ancient Egypt, and we'll talk about this in greater detail in another video. Not everybody worshipped Jesus. That was for the townsfolk, for the simple people. They didn't worship Jesus. I'd love to really dive deep into this, but I don't want it to be long. So if I forget, redirect me and I'll include it in a future video. But I try to make it as concise and straightforward as I can, but there's so much information that I'd like you guys to have. Knowledge is power. I'm Kevin Chaos.